Imagine trying to learn to swim by only reading about swimming. You can memorize the strokes, learn about the breathing techniques, even understand the science of buoyancy. But when you finally dive into the water, what happens? Without the practice, without seeing how it's done, you're going to struggle. Language learning is no different. You can study grammar rules, memorize vocabulary, and repeat phrases, but without truly listening, it will feel like diving into the deep end unprepared. Welcome to today's episode, where we're diving deep into why listening skills are the unsung heroes of learning to speak English fluently. Most people believe that to speak better, you just need to focus on speaking more, right? But here's the twist. To speak well, you need to become an excellent listener first. Listening is not just passive, it's the foundation of communication. Today, we'll explore how listening skills directly impact your ability to communicate effectively in English, and why improving them can skyrocket your fluency. Understanding the connection between listening and speaking. Let's break this down. When you listen to someone speak, you're doing more than just hearing the words. You're absorbing sentence structures, pronunciation, intonation, and the rhythm of natural speech. Think about it. When a child learns to speak, they don't start by talking, they start by listening. They listen for months, sometimes years, before they say their first words. They imitate sounds, learn patterns, and over time, these become the building blocks for speech. This process of imitation, recognition, and repetition is crucial. So when adults or language learners skip over listening, they miss out on that critical foundational step. Your brain needs exposure to the language as it's naturally spoken to build a mental map of how sentences are structured, how questions sound, how words connect. This is why we always hear experts say, surround yourself with the language. What makes listening so powerful? There are 4 key ways in which listening helps boost your English speaking skills. R. Improves pronunciation. When you listen attentively to native speakers, you're not just picking up the words, but also the way those words are pronounced. For instance, words like comfortable are rarely pronounced as they're written. In fast speech, it's more like comfortably. If you've never heard it spoken naturally, how would you know that? By listening regularly, you begin to mimic the natural sounds, stress patterns, and even the subtle emotions embedded in speech. This leads to better pronunciation when you speak, because you've already heard how it should sound. 2. Teaches rhythm and intonation. English has a distinct rhythm, and understanding it is key to sounding fluent. Some words are emphasized more than others, and certain intonations can change the meaning of a sentence entirely. Compare the flat, robotic, how are you, to the more natural rising tone of, how are you? Listening helps you internalize this rhythm so that your speech flows more naturally. And here's something fascinating. Even when you're not consciously paying attention, your brain is still picking up patterns from conversations, songs, or podcasts. You're absorbing those subtle shifts in tone that indicate questions, sarcasm, excitement, or hesitation. 3. Expands vocabulary and contextual understanding. Sure, you can memorize a list of words, but it's listening that teaches you how to use them. You hear phrases in context, which helps you understand not just what a word means, but how it's used in different situations. Let's take a phrase like, I'll get back to you. On its own, you might think it just means someone is going to return. But by hearing it in a business context, for example, you learn that it means, I'll respond later. Listening to conversations, podcasts, or TV shows exposes you to idioms, slang, and everyday expressions you wouldn't find in a textbook. 4. Enhances comprehension and speed. One of the major challenges for English learners is processing the language at native speaker speed. When we speak, we often slur words together, use contractions, and drop certain sounds altogether. Listening prepares your brain to handle this rapid-fire delivery. Over time, you'll notice that your brain starts to pick up words faster, even in casual, fast conversations. You'll be able to catch on to meaning even when you don't understand every single word. And that's key, because fluency isn't about understanding every word perfectly. It's about catching the overall meaning and responding appropriately. How to overcoming common listening barriers. Now, I know what you're thinking, but English is so hard to understand, and you're not alone. Many learners feel frustrated because they can't keep up, especially with different accents, fast talkers, or unfamiliar vocabulary. But this frustration is actually part of the process. Just like any other skill, improving your listening takes time and persistence. Let me give you a few tips to make listening practice more effective. Start with simplified content. Don't overwhelm yourself with complex podcasts or fast-paced movies right away. Begin with materials created for learners. These can include graded readers or podcasts designed with slower, clearer speech. Then, gradually move up to more challenging content as you improve. 2. Use subtitles strategically. Watching movies or TV shows with subtitles can be helpful, but don't rely on them. Try turning off the subtitles after watching once or twice to challenge yourself. If you miss something, rewind and listen again. The goal is to train your ears, not your eyes. 3. Repeat what you hear. This technique is called shadowing. Listen to a sentence, pause the audio, and try repeating it exactly as the speaker did. Focus on matching their tone, speed, and pronunciation. This not only improves your listening skills, but also sharpens your speaking ability. 4. Expose yourself to various accents. English is spoken with different accents across the world, from the UK and the US to Australia, Canada, and beyond. Getting used to different pronunciations and dialects will make you a more versatile speaker. At first, you may struggle to understand a British accent if you've been learning American English, but over time you'll adapt. 5. Patience is key. You won't become a master listener overnight. Just like learning any other skill, it takes time. But with consistent effort, you'll notice progress. The key is to make listening a daily habit. The role of active listening. Now, I want to touch on something called active listening. There's a huge difference between passively hearing words and actively engaging with what you hear. Active listening means you're paying attention not just to the words, but to the meaning, tone, and context behind them. For example, when listening to a podcast or watching a video, pause and ask yourself questions. What's the main point here? How does the speaker feel about this topic? What new vocabulary am I hearing? By interacting with the content, you deepen your understanding and improve retention. So, to sum up, if you want to become a better speaker of English, you need to become a better listener first. Listening is the cornerstone of language learning because it helps you absorb the natural flow of the language, improves your pronunciation, builds your vocabulary, and trains your brain to process information faster. Remember, speaking is not just about producing words, it's about responding to others, and that requires listening. So, whether you're on your commute, cooking dinner, or relaxing at home, take every opportunity to listen. Podcasts, audiobooks, music, TV shows, whatever you enjoy, immerse yourself in English as much as possible. The more you listen, the more naturally you'll start to speak. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with fellow learners. Until next time, happy listening.